Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Purge movie, the Forever Purge is what this one is called. And I'll be honest, I've never seen a single one of these Purge movies until tonight, or I guess super early in the morning because it's 3 a.m. and I'm talking about the Forever Purge. What am I doing with my life? But that is what we're going to be reviewing for today. And like I said, I've never seen a single one of these movies. And I honestly just knew the basic concept of the Purge, which is where you have a 12-hour area where all crime is legal, including murder. And all these crazy things usually happen in these movies. And from seeing the trailers of the earlier ones, I always assumed that these movies were like very contained. Like people in a house, people trying to break into that house. And then they slowly got bigger. Like people trying to get from one location to another location. The middle of all this chaos that's happening around the city, and then I have no idea what election year is about, or the first Purge, or any of those ones. I really just know vaguely the trailers of the first two, and I never saw a single trailer for this movie. So this is the most blind I've felt going into the movie for quite some time now. And I will say in a lot of ways this movie met my expectation, which was fairly low. I wasn't really looking forward to this movie, to watching this movie whatsoever. I didn't think I was going to like it. And to be fair, I don't think it's a good movie in any rights. I think it has some decent ideas and a decent concept at the core of it, but it is not an awful movie. I think this movie has some ideas, and I think all the Purge movies have a political aspect to them, and this movie definitely has that, and it's definitely on the nose, but it's a lot more clever. I don't want to say it's clever. It works a lot better than I thought it was going to when I started the movie. The first half of this movie really is just kind of forgettable. I honestly don't remember a single thing besides one thing in the first half of this movie. I guess the inciting incident that brings our characters into the craziness of what's going on in this movie. And that's about it from the first half. But the second half was much stronger because it was full of chaos. If you guys don't know what this movie is about, essentially the Purge happens. It's brought back after a certain amount of time of it being gone. And a bunch of people decide to say, you know what, screw it. As soon as the 12 hours is over, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep on going. And the whole entirety of the United States goes into complete chaos and martial law because of this. And that's what I enjoyed about this movie. I enjoyed watching these characters trying to go through the United States, or at least Texas, El Paso, Texas, of it being a complete disaster. There was one oneer in this movie that started off, they were in a car and they're walking out. I was like, oh my gosh, is this a oneer? And then there was a cut and I was like, this movie continually disappointing. But then the oneer actually happens, and it's a one-shot take of them maneuvering through the city. Guys pop out every once in a while. It feels like a video game because we're always at a behind them over the shoulder angle, but it does bounce between different characters walking through the situation, and it was a fairly well crafted, I guess, action sequence, because the movie is not as shaky or as, belligerently edited as I was expecting this movie to be, and that oneer really did surprise me in this movie. But besides that, when it comes to the actual story and the characters of it, like I said, the political aspect was somewhat decent. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was super on the nose, but what do you expect from a Purge movie? But my biggest flaw with this movie, which I feel like is the flaw of most of these movies, is the characters. And this is the biggest offense that this movie made, because the main character essentially, or at least the only character with somewhat of an arc, was this guy who was absurdly racist at the beginning of the movie, and by the end of the movie he's just a little less racist. So pat yourselves on the back, white Hollywood, you've done it again. You made a racist person seem like they're not too bad. Congratulations. I don't think the acting in this movie is necessarily too bad. There's a lot of cheesy lines. I think they do the best they can with the dialogue that they're given. There's a lot of dubbed moments in this movie where a character will say something that is clearly just added in there because the movie doesn't trust the audience to understand something. Like there's a point where they're in some sort of truck or like an RV type thing, and they're driving down the street and they're getting shot at, and this guy's like, we're getting shot at. And it's like, no shit, we hear the gunshot, we see the sparks flying off of the side of the car, we understand what's happening in the situation. Why do you have to say these things? And you can clearly tell that it was an audio dubbed line that was inserted in post-production. That is just like, that happens a lot in this movie. The movie really does not trust the audience to, I guess, understand what's going on, which is fairly sad because this is a very straightforward movie. You have a group of characters that are trying to get from one place to another and trying to survive. That's literally the plot of the movie. There's nothing deep or intense about it. It's super, super straightforward. As for the rest of the characters, they all seem kind of bland. JUAN and ADELA are kind of sort of this, I guess, next main characters next to the racist guy, and they are fine in the movie. I think ADELA the actress who plays her does a great job in terms of the physicality of her role, and she was kind of interesting at the beginning because she says, oh, she was a part of something and she knows how to handle herself, and you're trying to figure out why she's so good with the weapons, and then you find out later on, and like, I guess sort of, but she didn't really have an arc in this movie. We just kind of discovered what her past was, and she had a couple cool moments, but she was just kind of all right. And the other guy, Juan, has no arc whatsoever that I remember, at least. I just, they nothing was memorable in this movie. I'm really sure I'm forgetting this movie as I'm trying to talk about it for this review, and that's just telling of the type of movie that it was. I think it was not boring. I think that's one thing that I definitely can give this movie. It was entertaining. If you're a fan of the Purge movies, I'm sure you're gonna like this one quite a bit, because it actually in some regards impressed me in terms of the technical aspects of it. So maybe this will be impressive. Maybe this Purge movie is a lot more crazy than the other ones, and maybe that's what you're looking for in a Purge movie. It definitely was a lot more grand scale than I was expecting it to be, even though the plot was getting from one place to another. It has some cool ideas with the political aspects of it, which all of the Purge movies I'm assuming has, but again, it's on the nose. And overall, this movie was just kind of, I was whelmed by it. It wasn't great, and it wasn't terrible, and I'm not even sure if I'd say it's okay. I think it's a very meh movie that I was whelmed by. So that is my review for the Forever Purge. Nothing special with this one. And also, I will say, are these movies action movies or horror movies? Because it felt a lot more like an action movie than anything else, and the only horror sequences in this film is a character walking around, and all of a sudden somebody pops up behind them. There's a loud noise to it, and that's the only sort of scare scenes. And you can even predict them to a point where when the sound drowns out and is silence, you know there's going to be a jump scare. And when the sound design is like building up and the music is building up, it's going to be a fake one, to a point where, like, I guessed every single moment in this movie. I don't know, it was this, I don't know if this was supposed to be a horror movie. Maybe that makes it even worse than I thought it was. So that is my review for the Forever Purge. If you guys watch this one, let me know in the comments what you thought. Should I even try to watch through the other Purge movies? If this one wasn't as terrible as I was expecting it to be, maybe I will enjoy at least the first one. But I don't know. Let me know what you think of the Purge movies down in the comments below. I also did review Zola, which is a new A24 movie that I did enjoy for the most part. And I have been talking about Loki every single week, so stay tuned on my channel. Subscribe for all of those things. I'm excited to have a bunch more movie reviews, including Black Widow, next weekend. So thanks guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one.